Chapter 151 to 153. Looking around, I noticed we seemed to be on a planet in the middle of the forest. In the distance I could even see groups of Namekians sitting together while eyeing my giant body, though I ignored them when I saw Trunks walk closer to me. Trunks - you good sage? Sage - depends on your definition of good. If having almost all of your bones broken is good, then yeah, I'm good. What do you think, Trunks? Someone reach into my pockets. I should still have a couple of senzu beans left. Trunks then quickly headed toward my giant pants and checked each pocket before eventually grabbing the remaining senzu beans. He then floated over to above my mouth and dropped them in. Swallowing them, I immediately am hit with a wave of pleasure as I feel my exhaustion wash away while my body quickly heals itself in no time. Once I was fully healed, I stood up and started reverting back to my base, which only took a couple of seconds, and by then I could more accurately tell how much of a Zenkai boost I received from fighting Cumber. Sage hehe, amazing, I'm far stronger than I previously was. I even bet I could properly give Cumber a fight now. However, when I thought of Cumber, I noticed his ki had disappeared, which is weird since it would be impossible for me to not sense someone as powerful as him no matter where I am in the universe. Sage - what happened to Cumber? Goku - don't know, his ki just disappeared directly after we teleported you to safety. Vegeta - think that Tao women transported him somewhere else once he defeated Sage. Trunk - it's likely, but then again we will have to deal with him later. Right now we need to find Tawa, and speaking of finding Tawa, Kranoa is calling. We all watched how Trunks pulled a portable holographic phone out of his pocket before turning it on. Once it was on, a holographic image of Kranoa appeared who seemed to be panicking. Trunks - Ms. Kranoa, what seems to be the problem? Kranoa - I made a mistake by sending you guys here and fell right into Tawa's trap. Her interference in releasing Moro was merely just a distraction to keep all of the strongest fighters preoccupied. Sage - mind explaining it in more detail? Kranoa - the process of releasing Moro was meant to momentarily divert the attention from her onto Moro, and it seemed she had sent Cumber just in case Moro was quickly defeated. But the point is while you six were together, she went around to each universe and stole all of the time rings. Now what she said shocked us, but none of us really knew how bad this was, so we were relatively calm about it. Vegeta - so how is this bad? Kranoa - if Tawa's ultimate plan is to unseal Demigra from the crack of time, then in order to do that she will need a vast amount of space-time energy, far more than she is capable of harnessing on her own. So by stealing all of the Supreme Kai Time Rings, she will use all the space-time energy those artifacts contain to break the barrier sealing Demigra. Sage - yep, that's quite bad, but wait a second. Sage - if you knew this, why didn't you say anything till now? When I said that, everyone except Trunks looked at her suspiciously, though all we got in return was a deadpan expression. Kranoa - that's the point, I didn't know until just a few minutes ago. I thought she already had enough space-time energy, so that's why I never bothered with informing anyone, as I felt it would just be useless information, but when I found out she stole all of the time rings, it wasn't too hard to come to that conclusion, considering why else would she need that many time rings? Trunks - so then how can we stop Tawa from unsealing Demigra now? Kranoa - we can't track her fast enough, as she always manages to disappear before we arrive at her location, but we do know that Tawa will have to visit the crack of time, so the best bet would be to bring all of our fighters and wait there while also setting up as many traps as possible. It didn't sound like the best plan, but it seemed like the best option we currently had. Vegeta - since Tawa has gathered all of the time rings, how long do you think it would take her to harness all of the space-time energy? Kranoa - I can't accurately guess that, as I've never personally confronted her, but considering she is extremely gifted when it comes to space and time magic, I'd say 3 months at the quickest. Sage - so then we have 3 months to train and prepare ourselves for Tawa's arrival. Goku - that's not long or short, guess it's better than nothing. Kranoa - well, that's all I have to say, just make sure you six prepare, because if we lose and Demigra is released, the chances of us defeating him before he destroys the time vault is 0. With that last warning, Kranoa ends the call while we all stand there and ponder about the future, though it didn't last for long as we still have some things to do. Trunks - well, I plan on returning back to Toki City. What about everyone else? Vegeta - Kakarot and I will be returning back to our timeline. It's been a while since we've left. Goku - yeah, I bet Bulma and Chi-Chi are going to be quite upset at us for suddenly leaving unannounced, especially for so long as well. Vegeta - will help capture the rest of the escaped prisoners before continuing our training. Goku - but I got to return the Namekians to their home first. Sage - I'll probably just return and do some training as well, don't have anything important I need to deal with currently. We then went along with our plans. Kakarot, ex-Vegeta, and Trunks returned to the spaceship as they headed back to Toki Toki City. Kakarot started transporting the Namekians back to Namek while Vegeta just waited as he leaned against a tree, and I ultimately decided to go and visit 21 to tell her about the bad news. Taking out a small button, 21 gave me that's supposed to teleport me to her personal dimension. When I use it, once I pressed it, the scenery immediately changed from a forest to a vast sky with several floating marbles in the sky. Sage, to be honest, I'm surprised it wasn't some trap she set up for me. Putting away the button, I flew over to where I sensed 21's key, and when I arrived I found her meditating, which is a rare sight for me to see as she's usually tinkering around in her lab. 21 - What do you want, Sage? When I finished explaining the news to 21, I noticed she didn't seem too surprised at what had happened. Sage - You don't look surprised. Did you already know about this or what? 21 - No, I didn't, but don't forget I have some memories from Tao, so her stealing the time rings was one of the outcomes I predicted would happen. Sage - Tch, if you had an idea she would already do that, then why didn't you say anything to begin with? 21 - Well, did you want me to explain all the 2,534 plans that I thought could happen? I didn't think so, Cupcake. Anyways, it's not like I didn't set precautions ahead of time. I've placed a sort of tracker on the rings, so now we know where she had brought them. Sage - That's great, let's go after them then. 21 - You think I haven't already tried that? I've already sent a few clones ahead to locate their base, but it seems like Tawa is being very careful this time around as she's in a dimension where time is chaotic. Sage - So, what does that mean? 21 - Ha, Cupcake, this is why you should leave all the things that require thinking to me while you focus on fighting. Her reply made me want to burn her to a crisp, but we are still considered allies, so I held back. Sage - Tch, just tell me already, women. 21 - Fine, if you want to know so bad I'll tell you. Chaotic time simply means that the speed at which you perceive time will constantly change. Sometimes it's incredibly slow, and at other times you will die of old age before you can even blink. Now the aging thing isn't a problem, the problem is my clones require my ki to stay alive, and they only have so much ki, so it'll eventually be depleted. Now, of course, you're welcome to try your luck, though I highly doubt that your lifespan is longer than mine. That revelation was pretty disappointing, but seeing how she is still calm, I'm willing to bet she has a way around this, or at least a different plan. Sage - No, I'm not going, but you got any more ideas? 21 - Actually I have one, but I don't know if you're going to like it, Cupcake. Sage - Just tell me. 21 - With Nala's help, it would be possible to send a clone that has a way to regenerate ki to locate Tao's base. Now I'm no genius like Bulma, Nala, 21, or Tawa, but I don't need to be a genius to understand that allowing 21 to closely interact with Nala and how she creates runes would be a terrible idea in the long run. Sage - No. 21 - Cupcake, don't be like that, I promise I won't harm your little side chick, I just need her help, that's all. She said all of that nonsense in a seductive voice while leaning her body against mine and placing her hand on my face. Now the logical thing would have been to move out of the way, but the reason 21 even acts like this is that she wants to get a reaction out of me. However, if I don't show any reaction, she usually doesn't keep up the act for long. Though it is annoying because I'm sure she knows trying to seduce me will never work, and it's not because I'm married or love Nala, it's because Saiyans are not that sexually active. To begin with, even now with her rubbing her body on me, I'm barely feeling aroused. Sage - I'll go talk with Nala first, because my opinion doesn't matter if she says no. 21 - So unresponsive, but I guess that's fine, don't make me wait too long. Grunting in response, I activate a new rune Nala engraved onto my bracers that allows me to be teleported back to our home from any location. Once I'm back, I noticed how everyone seemed to be fighting Piccolo for some reason. Sage, what the heck's happening? Since I was curious about what was going on, I made my way out of the spaceship and started flying to where the battle was taking place. When I arrived, I saw Trunks, Goten, Krillin, Yamcha, 18, 17, and Tien fighting against Piccolo, though the surprising thing was Gohan's appearance reminded me of baby Vegeta. Sage it seems baby is somehow here, though sadly for him Piccolo is much stronger. Flashing next to Piccolo, who's casually blocking all of their attacks with one arm. Sage - What are you doing? Just kill the fool possessing Gohan already, stop wasting time. Piccolo - I can't do that as he won't leave Gohan's body, otherwise, I would have killed him 10 minutes ago. Sage - Oh please Piccolo, stop being so soft on Gohan, just injure him enough to where he's forced to leave, and if that doesn't work we can just kill Gohan and wish him back to life. Piccolo just clicked his tongue in response before flashing behind everyone, knocking them out, leaving just baby Gohan, who backed away frightened. B Gohan dash, D don't do anything, otherwise, I'll explode myself killing Gohan in the process. Sage ugh, lame, let's get this over with quickly because Piccolo is quite soft when it comes to Gohan. Flashing behind baby Gohan, I grab the top of his head and send my ki throughout his body damaging all of his internal organs in the process, but I did manage to force baby to quickly escape Gohan's body. Baby tried escaping but the moment he left Gohan's body Piccolo appeared in front of him and fired a ki blast at him that was too fast for him to dodge, and when it hit him he got completely destroyed. Sage dash, here, quickly heal Gohan, he's on death's door right now. Handing Gohan over to Piccolo so he can use some healing magic or whatever, I head back home to talk with Nala, and while I wouldn't mind hanging out with everyone else, I wouldn't say it's a good time to do so. When I arrived back home, I went to Nala's secret lab since I didn't sense her ki, though once I arrived inside I sensed both Nala's and Mia's ki. As I make my way toward their location I notice that Nala has done some remodeling with her lab setup. Walking into the room where Nala's and Mia's ki are, I see Nala and Mia working on runes together. They were deeply focused so I didn't interrupt them and just waited by the door until they finished, though a couple of minutes later Nala noticed me. Nala dash, Sage, what are you doing back so quick, have you already finished your mission? Sage dash, I guess you could say so, though what are you guys working on? Standing behind Mia, I look over her and see a whole bunch of burnt and crumpled papers with runes engraved on them, though seeing how they're dark pink I judged it was Mia's doing. Nala dash, nothing much dear, just teaching Mia some runes, though she seems to be having some difficulty right now. Right when Nala finished talking the paper on which Mia was engraving runes spontaneously combusted, evoking Mia's anger as she slammed the table, though luckily Nala has engraved several types of protection runes on everything in her lab, so nothing broke. Mia dash, Mom it's not working. Nala dash, well dear, care to tell me how yelling in anger and slamming the table is going to help you? Mia dash, it may not help but it's easier to do than learning some stupid runes. Nala dash, maybe if you paid attention to when I was explaining it and not acting like a child, you wouldn't be having such a hard time. Mia dash, tch, but I am a child. Nala dash, what did you say Mia? Mia dash and nothing. Nala dash, whatever, just go take a break, your father and I will be talking, so just don't leave the house. Mia jumped from the chair in happiness before quickly dashing out of the room, probably to either train or watch some human TV. However, looking over to Nala I saw how she just shook her head while releasing a sigh in frustration, and though she looked annoyed, I could see a small smile visible on her face. After I helped Nala clean up the mess Mia created while practicing runes, we sat down at the table and started talking. Nala dash, so, what was the mission about? Sage dash, we had spotted Tawa interfering with the timeline, so I went to try and find her with the group, though everything turned out quite bad. We defeated a dude named Moro and then afterwards Cumber appeared. I fought him but he had gotten a strong power-up so I got my ass handed to me. However, it wasn't all bad I guess, I did get a good Zenkai when I healed up. Nala dash, well, I'm glad you're fine but is that everything? Doesn't seem like Tawa's interference did much this time around. Sage dash, that's the problem, Moro and Cumber were just distractions that allowed Tawa to freely hop between universes and steal all of the Supreme Kai's time rings, which she needs in order to break Demigra out of the crack of time. Nala dash, that is terrible and if she already has what she needs to free Demigra, why are you here and not protecting the time vault? Sage dash, because Kranoa said it'll take Tawa at least 3 months for her to harness the space-time energy present in the time rings, so until then we must prepare for her arrival. However, that's not the reason I wanted to talk with you, I wanted to talk you about 21. When I mentioned 21, Nala's face which currently had a thinking expression suddenly changed as her pupils shied to a more reptilian look, and her fangs grew out in response while she looked at me with a cold penetrating stare. Nala dash, tell that bitch no. Little slut thinks she can seduce my man and then has the audacity to ask you if we can work together, I think not. Her words definitely surprised me, because I've never told Nala how 21 is always flirting with me and how she constantly tries seducing me, and for your information, the reason I never told her wasn't that I was interested in 21, it was because I didn't wish for Nala to get upset over something as useless like 21 trying to seduce me, cause it's never going to work. Sage dash, how did you even know about that, I've never told you. Nala dash, dear with how many runes I've engraved on your bracers and pants, do you think I haven't bothered engraving a recording rune? And I'm glad I did, otherwise, I probably would never have known about that slutty bitch who can't keep her hands to herself. Sage dash anyways dear, I understand your anger but you also know that if Demigra is set free and manages to destroy the time vault then everything will be erased, you, Bulma, Gohan, Tien, 18, even Mia. Listen, personally, I would prefer if 21 stays away from you, but unless you know of a way to track, wait, I might have just thought of a genius idea. Nala dash really? That's rare coming from you. Sage dash, tch, just so you know Nala, I'm not dumb. Anyways, Nala, is it possible for you to create a rune to stop me from aging or something? Nala dash, it is possible but it's complicated and it would take a while to finish, however, for an alternative I can create a rune that'll leave your body in suspended animation if that'll work. Sage dash, what's suspended animation mean? Having to ask that question after just saying a second ago I'm not dumb isn't the best look at my intelligence, but suspended animation is quite a big word. Nala dash, by definition suspended animation means the temporary cessation of most vital functions without death, as in a dormant seed or a hibernating animal. If I engrave a rune on you with that attribute then time will be redundant for you, however, within that state, you cannot grow stronger or heal from any damage you may sustain, but most importantly you can't generate ki. Sage dash, damn it, my plan won't work then, with how chaotically time moves within that dimension I might run out of ki before I find Tawa. Nala dash, what about chaotic time? Sage dash, 21 has trackers placed on some of the time rings, so it's possible to locate Tawa, however the dimension she currently occupies has a very chaotic flow of time, so sneaking in is going to be difficult. Nala dash, that's it. Why didn't you say that earlier? I thought it was going to be a bigger deal than that. Here, take this then, it should be perfect for your current situation. Looking up, I caught a small round object Nala threw at me and started inspecting it, though it honestly just looked like a round iron ball. Nala dash, that right there is PDL or a portable dimensional lab, it's one of the first I had made so it's quite small but it works perfectly fine, just squeeze it and bam, you're in some kind of mirror dimension. Sage well this is perfect.